So let's cover these stocks that have done really well. Of course, Apple, fan favorite. You can't go wrong here. I mean, this stock just keeps moving higher.
Well, Apple's been a great barometer for traders. You know, we go in the trenches all the time with Apple and some of these high beta tech stocks, but these stocks performed so well over the course of that 5-day rally. Plus, on the days that we were down, they went green, so they gave us clues that we actually can reverse. So if you look at Apple now, the chart broke a macro area. I've spoken about it many times. This was, the last consolidation. It broke above this downtrend, came back, pushed a little into it, tested it, held higher, broke this mini pivot. We talked about buying more above 385, and now look at it, a stone throw away from these highs. So I'm actually happy we're down today. I'd like to be able to rebuy Apple for cash flow anywhere around this 390. So if we could pull back to 390 in the next day or so of this market weakness, I'd like to buy more, and then the next buy price is when it breaks above 404 for a new move highs and that move that we just saw in Amazon, which we can go over on the next page here.
Right. Well, as you mentioned, you're talking about Apple getting to new highs. Amazon hit a new high on Friday. So what do you do with that?
Well, now you can't do much except for, at this point, be a little happy that we have this down open, because Amazon, like 3 weeks ago, I said this stock acts best. This is going to be at new highs first in high beta land. Lo and behold, that happened Friday. So if you're holding it, congratulations. If you look here on the chart, you will see this is why traders love when stocks make new 52-week highs, because when they go, they squeeze every short. There's power, and this one closed on the dead highs. What was tough, though, is look where it came from. This was the lower pivot we talked about. This was your calculated entry around 220. So if you got in here, added for momentum, hopefully you sold some into this extension. So now sometimes, you see a retest of that prior high breakout. So if you miss this move in Amazon, I would say look to buy back anywhere between like 225 and 230 if we have the luxury of buying back here, because Amazon doesn't really pull in that much.
All right, Scott, we talked about the financials earlier, how badly they've been doing, but two companies in the financial group have done well. Credit cards, MasterCard and Visa. Every quarter, it's just wonderful. It's great. They're making money. Let's talk about those stocks.
Well, MasterCard has been showing relative strength during the whole decline. That's why we use relative strength. And then it tried to break out a little earlier than it was ready for, and then finally had a successful breakout last week to show you that you still can be a stock picker. MA, take a look at the chart here. You'll see this is when it tried to break out a little premature. This is when the market wasn't ready to rally. That was a short-term sell signal. But look what happened. Came right back, held this recent uptrend, worked its way higher, and then broke above. So if you're investing in MasterCard, sit tight. If you want to buy it back as a trader, it could come in and retest this 338 area as it's not going up in a straight line. Look to see it hold higher and then get back, because if we get traction again, this will make new highs once again with your Visa, which is just starting to break above. So it's giving you some time to continue to buy it. Both of these are investment quality, and they've been rewarding traders looking for relative strength.
Well, let's talk about Green Mountain Coffee, because here's one name that you wouldn't think would do so well in this market, but it's coffee, and it's done very well. In fact, that chart is crazy.
Yeah, like people just keep shorting this one. They keep thinking that there's no way it can go higher, but meanwhile, it hangs tough. This stock, to me, is a breakout candidate. I think you need to watch it. If you look at the chart here, you will see GMCR is holding right in front of those old highs. So for traders, I think traders are going to be looking to add to this position or play for a breakout above 111, 112. Like MasterCard, it tried to go, wasn't ready, came in, held a nice moving average, and now a little bit more sideways action. We start to rally above 111. This thing could look like a wide range bar that will reward traders looking for a breakout.
Let's also move them on to Lululemon. Now, this is a stock that had been a high flyer, but it started to pull back a little bit because they gave some guidance that wasn't so favorably received. So does that make this a buying opportunity?
Lulu, they gave it a pass. They came out, the earnings, and they pre-announced a bad quarter or lowered guidance. It opened down, but it rallied and went positive. So they blew it off. You can't just short things because of that. Like Netflix, they didn't blow it off. It went, we'll talk about that later. It just never found a friend. But Lulu, after the stock split, they said, okay, you know what, we'll give it a pass, maybe, whatever, for this quarter. They're trying to reinvest, etc. P.S. This is your ascending channel. This is your uptrend. For this one, have a high level stop. You know, if it were to start breaking below 55, I would say maybe that changes, because what we did is we just came back to the old resistance, so it probably does get a pull in. I think buyable right around this 54, 79, 55. But if this doesn't hold and it closes below, you know, you could see that trend change. So just be a little bit more alert. I'm a little bit more worried about Lulu versus some other things, because it's high-end retail. Who knows if things don't get better? You know, maybe they won't buy an $80 to $120 pair of shorts. They might go to Modell's and get a pair for $25.
Right. Well, you mentioned it. You know, it tends to be a non-necessary item when you're buying, you know, Lululemon. It's very expensive, high-priced yoga stuff. Under Armour, though, is pretty reasonably priced, and you know, it's a lot more athletics going on with the Under Armour brand, so that one's been also going to new highs.
Plus, you also have, I think, some speculation that Nike might be taking them, and you never buy something on speculation of that, but it's hard to be short when you hear that. Under Armour, I do think looks good. It's coming back to the old highs. You know, we talked about it a few times. This was your last pivot buy when it broke above this resistance here around 73. Now it's probably going to pause. If you look at the size of this run, this has just been huge. So if it could hold above this 75 and hold higher, you know, as a trader, above 80, you can get a breakout trade. But for right now, it's a bit overbought. I would say try and buy a pull-in down to this 73.50, which was the last move it had, considering it's a fourth move from those lows.